Hey, it's ODB, and I have a special guest here for one of our first video podcasts, I guess you could call it. Jeff, I want to welcome you, and thanks for the opportunity to sit down again.
Hey, what's up, bud? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. No stranger to OLP. Also, one of my title sponsors, as I always tell people over on Lincoln Attic Podcast. It's always good to sit down. It's been about a year since I've been out there, had such a blast, and I think we got a good topic today that we're going to be able to, maybe get inside the minds of some of our friends and mini truckers, and if nothing else, Jeff, just really pass on the good word, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about today. Been thinking about this for a year now, and I'm ready to open up a little bit and tell my story about what happened to me and my life-changing experiences. But I'm pretty excited about a lot of things right now. So uh,
No
one of
doubt.
them is the Paradise Fire Truck 5-year anniversary today from when the fire took the whole town away. And then Jason brought the truck to us and rebuilt it, and he's enjoying it. And now it's for sale. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, if anybody happens to catch this within the next I'd say week or so, to your point, Jeff, it's on Bring a Trailer. I love that site, and definitely a tip of the cap, so to speak, on this build. I don't know Jason, you do, but I can tell you this. I think I found him years ago when he had built that CEO sled, the Cadillac. I know you love those, but definitely a cool ride. And like you
Yep.
said, fifth anniversary. I think the city was named Paradise, and this truck, for those that don't know, was a part of that fire. And it's weird, Jeff, how sometimes something cool can come out of a tragic situation, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The truck actually was on the news when they're in a helicopter filming the town burning down. The truck was on the news burning down on the news.
Wow.
So it was, I guess, popular before it was popular.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I've told a few people before, although not necessarily a sponsor, but Motor Trend has a show where they kind of dig into car archaeology and stories. And they did a story on the Paradise Fire. And it was really heartbreaking to kind of hear some of the folks that obviously you and I know, Jeff, family
Mhm.
and health is first. We'll be talking about some of that today. But something that was key
Absolutely.
was, you had these folks that when this fire started to get closer and closer to their homes, something we don't experience necessarily here in Florida, they literally had to say, hey, okay, we've got our belongings, we've got the family safe. Wow, some of these vehicles that have been passed down from generation to generation, they were potentially going to lose them. And it's just crazy what happened 5 years ago.
Yeah, it is nuts. Anybody's not familiar with Paradise, it's a small town in the hills, and it's like literally one way in, one way out. And it's when they tell you to evacuate, you grab everything you can in your two hands and throw them in your car and get the hell out of there. You know?
Yep, that's what I've heard. A lot of people, they don't, there's not a lot of ways in and out, depending on especially where your property is and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
it's not a very
earlier,
big town.
oh, yeah, about a week or two ago, you and I chatted. You reached out to me, and I appreciate you doing that. And, you said, hey, Jay, I really didn't, a lot of people don't know this story, and some things that have happened to you kind of personally. And you had offered to say, hey, why don't we get together and talk a little bit about it? I think it'll be a good message for others. Some people may take it with a grain of salt, but certainly I don't want to steal the thunder. Jeff at Devious here. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the things you wanted to share today?
Well, on the 17th, which I think this podcast will probably air right around there,
Yep.
is my 1 year anniversary for quitting drinking. A lot of people know that, a few people don't, whatever. And I post about it on my Instagram and my Facebook every now and then
Yep.
to more for support for people out there that want to quit drinking as well. Just so you know, I'm 50-year old, just turned 50 this year, and I spent a lot of time partying. Uh, if you ever hung out with me, if you know me, at shows and stuff like that, I was always pretty hammered and doing crazy, stupid stunts and being dumb and probably getting in too much trouble and having a good time. Never really thought, to be honest, that I ever had a problem. But a year ago, uh, I had something happen to me and I got what's called SVT. And so basically, what it is where your heart rate goes up to about 200 beats per minute while you're sitting still, like we are right now, just talking. So basically, it feels like your heart's going to come out of your chest. My
Mm.
shoulders hurt, my neck hurt, my head hurt, my teeth hurt. That's how bad it was. And I've never
Wow.
had my teeth hurt before, so that was pretty gnarly. Um, I'm going to try to make this story somewhat short.
Sure.
I went to work like every other day, and I had a pretty intense conversation with one of my kids, and so that elevated my stress level a little bit. Although I wasn't stressed out, I was actually pretty excited because I got to get some of the stuff off my chest that I've been holding in, and
Okay.
as well as he did to me. Um, Once I got off the phone with that, I was just like feeling this pressure on my chest and kind of weird, and I just thought it might have been because of the conversation.
Right.
So I just kind of took it easy. I went to my office, and I have a couch in my office. I laid down and just relaxed a little bit to see if it would come down and drink some water, and wasn't sure what was going on with me at the time. So at, at that time, it was probably about 11:30, and I was getting hungry, and I my dad came in to check on me, and I said, "Hey, let's go get some lunch." So we jumped in the car. I think somebody was visiting that day, so they were with us to for the lunch. And of course, we went to the bar and had a couple of Tito's and water and lime,
Yep.
and had lunch, and then we went back to work. I had no idea at that point that I had a heart problem or anything was really majorly wrong with me, other than maybe a little bit of stress.
Mm-hmm.
A couple drinks definitely took the edge off. Got back to the shop, felt pretty good. Still elevated, but not horrible. Um, Started talking to one of my buddies over here, and he thought it might be my blood pressure. So my mom brought her blood pressure machine down, and we checked my blood pressure, and it was right on point. Excellent.
Uh-huh.
I've never had a blood pressure problem before. Um, so I decided that I'm just going to go home and get cleaned up, and called one of my best friends, and he lives out of state, and he talked to me all the way home, and I didn't realize until afterwards that he purposely did that
Mm-hmm.
to make sure, one, I got home, and two, that I was still kicking. Um, I got home. He talked me into going to the doctor and getting checked out right away. So I agreed to go to the emergency care or clinic or whatever, and just have them check me out real quick to see what's going on and make sure I'm all right. I did that. I walked in the door, and keep in mind I drove there, which I do not recommend, and I've been yelled at by doctors and nurses and stuff for quite a while. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I tell them that. But I walked into the emergency care, and they said, "Oh my, your heart rate is going through the roof. Would you like an ambulance?" And I was like, "What the hell
And
do I
you're
need an
like,
ambulance for? I drove here. I feel fine." I had a little pressure here and a headache and some shit going on, but I
right.
was like, what am I doing with my car? Of course I'll drive. So I drove myself to hospital. Luckily, it was only across the freeway, about maybe half a mile or so. When I
Yep.
checked myself in there, they admitted me ASAP. As soon as you have anything going on with your heart or any feelings like that,
It's
they
like
started
full.
checking everything. Yeah, they just pulled me right into a bed. They hooked up all kinds of monitors and blood pressure machine. They even put the new defibrillator on me, which is a sticky patch that goes on the front of you and on the back of you, hooked to a crash
Wow.
cart right next to you. Yeah, it was pretty intense. I think I still have a few pictures from it. I really haven't told too many people this story. So picture me sitting there with about 30 or 40 wires hooked to me. I'm looking out, and all I see is probably about 4 or 5 doctors and about 20 nurses. And then my mom and dad showed up, and they were sitting to the left of me, watching all this go down. It's
Mm.
pretty intense and pretty scary. 2 IVs. They were injecting me with, I don't even remember, 2 or 3 different things to try to get my heart rate to come down. Everything they did not work. So at this point here, I'm pretty much freaking out. I'm sitting here watching my parents watch me, which uh, no parent wants to watch their child in this position.
Sure.
And I mean, my mom and dad are in the 70s. So, uh, you know, if anybody's going to go, I don't want to be the first one. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yep.
And that was really hard to deal with at the time because it put an extra level of what the hell's going on right now.
Sure.
Um, story goes on. I didn't get my heart rate down for more than maybe 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and then it would spike back up, and they'd inject me with some more stuff. And so, doctor decided to give me a drug that actually shuts my heart off for about 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah. When you told me that the other day,
Again,
I was
all these
like,
wires, defibrillator, all these people, literally the whole ER is in front of me, uh, and the medical staff there to do anything it takes to keep me around and keep me going. The
mm-hmm.
monitor is right behind me, and it had your little heart rate going, do 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 whatever, and all your other stuff on it. And when they injected me in my IV with this stuff, literally the little line that goes on the screen just flatlined. And
Mm.
so, and then luckily they didn't have the volume on, but yeah, I had to turn around to look at it, and I was like, oh man. So the only way I can describe it is my whole body just kind of went blank. I could still move. I could feel everything. I could watch everything. I could understand everything. I could hear everything. I could talk. And about 15, 20 seconds later, it kicked off again. And the whole ER stood up and started clapping and got all excited and stuff. So uh,
Oh,
my heart rate did go down. It only lasted for about 30 to 40 minutes. Uh, at that point, they gave me another drug through my IV bag, and that got my heart rate down. And it kept it down for almost 3 hours. And at the 3 hour mark, they were like, "You get to go home." And I was
really?
like, "Heck yeah," because I'm tired of being here. It was probably, God, I remember like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. My mom and dad are exhausted. They've been sitting there bobbing their head and weaving and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to see them. They're 70 years old. See them not getting sleep and not taking care of themselves. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then just before the 3 hour mark, my heart rate took off again, and so that was alarming. And I'm getting goosebumps now when we talk about it again. Um, we then
Mm.
got admitted to the hospital, where they kept on pumping me full of this fluid that gets keeping my heart rate down. But I was having spikes in the middle of the night, and I was having spikes during the day where my heart rate would just go crazy and then drop back
Uh-huh.
down. And they couldn't figure out what the problem was. I went through so many tests and so many different things
Doctor
uh,
visits, all
for
that
them to
stuff.
try to figure it out.
Mm.
Yeah. So when I mean, I haven't even left the hospital at this point. I'm not in the ER anymore, but I'm in the
Oh, I
hospital
see.
bed. And then they moved me around 2 or 3 times, and that lasted for about 3 or 4 days. I finally got my heart rate down under control, and then they sent me home. So that little short experience of 4 days changed my life. When my heart rate stopped, I didn't see a black screen or a light at the end of the tunnel or anything, but it definitely did stuff to my mind where uh, I really questioned everything I was doing. I really questioned uh, my relationship with a lot of people and kids and mom and dad and family and friends. And as you know, my best friend Courtney passed away, and I spent quite a bit of time with him in the hospital, and it made me really think about that. Um, and we've lost several friends since then. Uh, Tom McWeeny just passed, and he had a heart attack. And I wish that's what kind of made me do this video, because I really want to speak out on it. Because I have a lot of friends that are my age or even younger or older that are in the same lifestyle as what I've done, what you've done. You know what I mean? Uh, we 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 for fun we go to shows, we sit in parking lots or a show, and we drink all day or all night or weekend or whatever. I mean, we get crazy, right? So that's
Yep.
what we did for fun. And I just want to come on here and tell people that are doing that every day, and people that might think, hey, man, I'm kind of tired of drinking, or maybe I'm tired of hangovers, or, I've gained a shit ton of weight, or I'm feeling like crap. There's options for you, and there's, again, when I was younger drinking and somebody quit drinking a little while ago, we talked about some of our friends. Um, I always thought to myself, well, good for you. That means there's more for me to drink, you know?
Right.
and and now I totally look at that perspective on the opposite way, like, God, why didn't I listen to them? You know what I mean? Or at least slow down, you know? Uh, I was getting to the point where we were drinking a handle of Jameson or a handle of Tito's a day, splitting it with
Yeah.
my partner Ashley, and we would just party, man. We'd go all day, all night, you know. So since then, obviously, I quit drinking, um, obviously for health reasons, but it has completely 100% changed my life. My relationship with my kids is 10 times better. My relationship with my mom and dad is 10 times better. With Ashley is 10 times better. With all my friends is 10 times better. My business alone is better. You know, when you deal with so many customers a day, there are days where it gets to you and it's tiring and what have you. When you don't drink, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Because you
Got
drink,
it.
you have this high spikes, you know, highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. When you stop drinking, you have more of a mediocre. And where it took a little while to get used to it, and it took a little while to, and I worried about not being the life of the party or um, not outdoing everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess that's the way I am. You know, like I always want to be the funniest and the loudest and the stupidest and a jokester. You know,
You still got the
so
best laugh, Jeff. You still got the best laugh.
that won't change. That won't
Right.
change. That's for sure. But that's kind of my story and why I stopped drinking and I guess what I wanted to do with you is just tell my story and hopefully uh, my buddy John or my friend Frank or maybe even somebody I don't know, Emily or whatever, sees this and goes, "Yeah, okay, I'm tired of this same routine that we do every weekend." You know, I mean, we got down to Taco Tuesday, Wing Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Fuck It Friday, and oh shit, it's Saturday. Might as well party Saturday. We can't go out without
Opportunity
doing
weekend.
Sunday as well, so we would do that. You know, I live in a
Yeah.
small town with well, not I live in a small community in a big town called Kenyon Lake, and all we do here is party. We drive around our golf carts and drink. We drive on boats and drink. You know, and it
Gross.
not that I condone any of that stuff, but I was very lucky that I'm sitting here right today because I wasn't taking care of myself. So I kind of wanted to come on here and just tell everybody, you know, like go see the doctor, you know, go get a checkup, go do whatever you have to do to make yourself better, you know.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
this is
And
no joke, you know.
yeah, and I wanted to share now. This was just a quick list. This is not all encompassing, but I'll share this. A few names came to mind when before Jeff and I started, before we started chatting, Jeff. And there's a couple names on here that some of you may know. Obviously, there's other names on here that are legendary guys. Tom McQueenie was someone that recently passed, but not all. Everybody. Some of these folks, we don't know exactly maybe why they passed and things like that, but I think something that would resonate with what Jeff's saying and what I wanted to mention is, we may not be medical experts and we're providing our views and opinions, but I can tell you this: if you look at things like assessing your diet or your drinking habits, like Jeff just shared that story with you, but nobody's going to argue with this. When you think of Jeff as a car or a truck guy, we think of you think of preventive maintenance on a car or a truck. You're going to go cross country. Some of us truck guys, mini truckers, whatever you want to call us, we do more preventive maintenance maybe on waxing and washing our vehicle and the mechanical preventive maintenance and all of that stuff than we do on our own selves. And
Mm.
that's something that over the past few years, as I turned 45 this month, November's kind of near and dear to my heart. I start to think like, wow, like I'm doing all this preventive maintenance because I want to drive 10 states over and I don't want to break down mechanically. But it's like, am I doing any assessment on myself to go, you know what, going hard in the paint, drinking every weekend, drinking, the weekends turned into the nights for me, 24 pack of Coors. Those are like waters to me. I could drink 8 or 10 of those, no
Mhm.
big deal.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, Jeff, the golf cart things and situations like that. I look back. I think a lot of us do. A lot of adults look back and say they can easily say, "Hey, I did some dumb shit in my time." But I look at stuff and go,
Yeah.
how do I never wanted to get a DUI, and I haven't, knock on wood. I never wanted to get in a crash. And you hear
Right.
these people that wreck into a family and they kill a family, but the drunk guy, just
Yeah.
walked away with no harm.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be that
Absolutely.
guy, so
I agree with you 100% on that. I was really lucky as well. I never got a DUI, never had one of those.
yeah,
Never really got caught up in too much doing dumb shit as far as that goes.
right, right,
I can pretty much go outside anytime now I want. Get on my bike, get on my boat, my golf cart, my car, whatever, and drive anywhere I want because I don't have to worry about it.
yeah,
And I was a Class A driver for many years, and I was really good about not drinking and driving. Once I let my Class A go, though, it was kind of like, oh, we can make it over there,
yeah.
and that's probably not the
Few
best decision
beers.
ever.
Yeah.
I was very lucky as well.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Now, I did want to share this. Again, going back to the piece that I said earlier, many of you knew Sean Carlson. I did not know him personally. I had become friends with
I knew
Trevor.
Sean.
His brother lives in Florida now, South Florida. And obviously, again, when we look back at some of these names, we don't know the reason behind all of their passings. We know, to Jeff's point earlier, I think a key thing is it made me wake up and say, we're losing our friends. And when you look at someone like
Yeah,
Sean, the Auto Week article that I pulled this from, mentions, of course, that he had passed from it was Brugada, I believe is how you pronounce it, Brugada syndrome. It was a genetic heart disorder. And the thing I would tell you is, he was 35 years old, and something that I think is important is, when you think about like how talented he was, or how skillful he was, and he passed at 35, and then I'm at 45, Jeff's at
yeah,
50, some of you guys are different ages. I start to think, we're lucky in a lot of ways, blessed, however you want to think about it, to be where we're at. And it's like some people didn't get, I mean,
hmm
Tupac, one of my favorite artists, died at 25, right?
hmm
And you think about
hmm
how much more life you have in you, and it's like, we're not here to preach and say, hey, we're your dad, we're going to tell you what to do. But I think
right,
opening the conversation in hip hop, I follow a lot of guys, and in hip hop, it's not cool to talk about diet and eating good and walking and stuff. But Jeff and I are
hmm
here to kind of lay down the foundation and say, hey, look, at least think about it. Some of us, if you drive for a living,
yeah,
maybe you're behind the wheel a lot, you don't get enough exercise or this or that. Just think about it, right, Jeff? Because the way I see it is the preventive maintenance on the vehicles is great, but we got to do some self-assessing and preventive maintenance on ourselves.
Absolutely. When all this went down for me, I basically had to cut out pretty much everything I love. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, Caffeine, salt, meat, red meats. My diet went to a very, very bland diet real quick. Eating is no longer my favorite thing to do. I lost
Right.
45 pounds, which is good news.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, definitely. And again, I said that before. I never went to the doctor. I don't like doctors. I don't like going
Yep.
there. I don't like dealing with them. I find that they're always trying to fill you full of pills and shots
Right.
and junk like
Push
that.
their agenda and all that
I'm not.
crap.
I don't even. I don't even do the flu shot. You know what I mean? I feel like
Yep.
the last time I did a flu shot, it made me worse.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I don't know. That's just my belief. I don't
Sure.
if you or anybody else takes it to do what you do. But
Sure.
when I was in the hospital, they kept on asking me like, "So what else have you been in the hospital for?" And I was like, "Nothing."
Nothing. Right.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, "Oh, I've got stitches. I broke a few bones here and there growing up, but I've never really. You've never had any surgeries. You never been in the hospital, and when's the last time you'd been to the doctor?" I'm like, I can't remember.
You like show
You
them your
know?
foot, and you're like, you know who I am, Mr. Devious here, right? I mean, I don't, I'm good.
Yeah, it was just like, uh, yeah, just fix me. I need to go back to work, you know?
Yeah, we got parts that got to ship
um,
out tomorrow.
yeah, I got people what's going on, but yeah, I definitely recommend just go get a physical or a checkup.
Yep.
If you have something that you feel is not right with you, go get it checked out. Don't wait till the last minute like I did, and possibly not make it.
Yep. And something that I think should be said, in the past few years, out on the West Coast, Bob Grant, kind of this sheet metal legend, Northern Cal guy, severed ties a long time. When I would see stories of like Bob Grant saying, "Hey, I quit drinking," or Dave Schulman here on the East Coast, um, Richard
Yeah.
Rachi from Arizona, there's a lot of different folks, and I can't name them all, but a lot of times I would think to myself,
Yeah.
like, man, like, wow, how could you do that? But something that I learned is last December, I had dropped my car off at my buddy's, and I was, ironically enough, this could be a promo, but I was dropping my car off to get it bagged with the Devious kit on my Lincoln, and I had been waiting for some time, and I was excited about it. And when we were coming back, we stopped at Ford's Garage, and I had a beer. I think that was on December 10th. And the next morning I woke up and it was just one beer. And I just said, I'm going to try before Christmas. I'm not going to drink for a week. And then a week came and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it 2 weeks. And before I knew it, by the time this airs, 11/11 will be, ironically enough, 11 months. And I'm not here, and Jeff's not here, I'm sure, to tell you, exactly what to do. But here's something to think about. Even if you're going hard in the paint, think about dialing things back. I heard a story from Michael Phelps, the Olympian, I think one of the most decorated Olympians ever. He was talking about how he was had a drinking problem. And I was like, man, Michael Phelps, that
Hmm.
dude's like this, right? And what he ended up going on to
Right.
say is like when he would get
Right.
to the
Yeah.
party, Jeff, he's like, dude, I would go hard because he wants to get to the buzz level so that he can get the party, or whatever, just start having fun. And that's what a lot of us do. So I look at things
Yeah.
and go, hey, if you're drinking 7 days a week, try to dial it back, right? For you, it might
Yeah.
be going cold turkey. And for other people, it might just be going, hey, you know what? I'm only going to have 2 beers now, not 10. So something to think about. Um, Courtney Halliwell, I know, meant a lot to the world.
When I went in the hospital.
Yep. Sorry.
Oh, I said when I was in the hospital, one of my other buddies here that was helping me out and kind of checking on me, make sure I got to the hospital, and and concerned about my health. He told me to tell the doctor, make sure you tell him you're an alcoholic. And I was like, who are you talking to? You're not talking to me. I'm not an alcoholic. I
Like,
can
I
quit
ain't saying
whenever I
that
want.
shit.
And I did the week or two, month or two here and there, no drinking, and then started drinking again, whatever.
Yep.
Um, and I started thinking about it. I was sitting there in the hospital. I'm like, he's fucking right. Because like lunch I have drinks. You know what I mean? So yeah, when Bob Grant quit drinking, he told me, "Hey, I quit drinking. You should join me." And I'm like, I just laughed at him because I was like, "Why? Why would you do that?" And now I'm like, oh, man, I should have listened to him a long time ago. Wouldn't be in this boat.
Oh, yeah. And when I mentioned Courtney Halliwell, I know he meant the world to you and to so many people. He was like one of those close guys, and rest in peace to him. And to your point, I wanted to hit upon this point real quick, is that when you think of the good friends that you have, or people that, I've got a few close guys that I can call. We joke around mafia terms, we call them a consigliere, and say these are the guys like you can lean on to get that real advice. I think it's really the utmost importance to be able to have a close friend. And if you're having, some doubts about, hey, your health or where you're going in life, call up that friend and have those conversations. Because Jeff, it's kind of funny to me. If you think about 15, 20 years ago, the conversations we had, and now we get to our 45s and 50s, we start having conversations about, man, did you get your prostate
Yeah.
checked? Man, how's your urine stream and all this stuff? And I'm like, wait a minute, are we like AARP card holders, right? But those conversations, again, I mean,
Yeah.
naturally, as we're getting older, we're maturing, we're getting to a point where those are the conversations, believe it or not, we should be having. I just hope, Jeff, that we don't start talking about white
Yeah.
New
Absolutely.
Balances or
I have to
Velcro
tell you about.
options anytime soon.
Yeah, I have to tell you about probably not even a month ago. Me and three or four friends were out in the back deck of my house, and you've been here, so
Yeah,
my back deck overlooks the lake, and we were literally sitting out there drinking liquid death, and we had a blood pressure machine, and we were all doing the blood pressure machine to see who's the lowest blood pressure in the whole group.
Yeah.
That was like a Friday or Saturday night, I think. We were just hanging out, enjoying the view. It was beautiful weather, and we're checking blood pressure.
Yeah, it's checking the Velcro straps on the New Balance. Yeah, I can still reach them. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
but no,
funny
I
how
know,
life changes.
and if anybody knows anybody at Liquid Death, please get. I know Jeff doesn't want me to even say this, but Jeff, with I love Devious Customs. I always have been around a little over 20 years. I think it was April 1st of 2020, 2021 it started somewhere
Yes,
around
yeah, you're
there.
right. You're good with
And
dates, man.
yeah, I know, right? And the cool thing is like with Liquid Death, something that we found, and Nerdy Girl, she would chime in, and I was like, what does she mean? I was like, man, I said, I ain't trying to steal my buddy's thunder, my homie, and, as far as like posting stuff. And she's like, no, Jeff's been posting about the Liquid Death. And I said, yeah, I've seen that. And it finally kind of clicked when we had our conversation about a week ago. And the cool thing about the Liquid Death is, although it's water, I can hang out at mini nats, and with the NC guys, they invited me up. I hung out with them one night in the cabin, and everybody's doing their own thing, but it's like I got, whether I want to put it in a bag, like pour out some for the homie, or I'm just walking around with the can. Dude, it gives me the feeling of I'm still there, I'm still hanging out, but I've learned I don't have to
Mhm.
be freaking swallowing alcohol.
Yeah, when we go out now, we still pack a cooler. We just pack a cooler full of water rather than beer or
Yeah,
liquor. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I agree with that 1,000%. I guess my guys at work always like, man, when I first started drinking this, they're like, I thought you were walking around with the fucking tall can,
Or
partying
loco.
it up during work at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever. I was like, nah,
Yeah,
this
that's going
water, dog.
hard.
So it's very expensive water.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friends give me a hard time about it. They call me a water snob or bougie, which is fine. I don't care because it tastes good. But to be honest with you, the lime flavor tastes like Tito's lime and water.
I'm
So
gonna go
when
get
I
one of those
quit, it wasn't like I didn't change my taste to drink something else. It already had it in the can. So I kind of felt like, not that I was drinking, but I felt like I still had something that tasted similar. So it wasn't like, stop.
there. Yep. E e exactly, and something I would point out as, we kinda wind down the conversation somewhat is, I remember when I first got in the mini truck scene, I was younger, and I wasn't a kid that, like, a lot of my friends partied, in high school. We went out to fields, and, we had the jacked up trucks here in Land O'Lakes, and we all hung out and stuff, but I was never an early drinker. And as I got into the mini truck scene, believe it or not, that's when I started drinking. I had a friend that, unfortunately, his name was on that list. He has since passed away. He was a part of Severed Florida, and he was like, "Oh man, try this," and I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, these taste good," and I started drinking because
Mhm.
of the mini truck scene. And to your point, we go to these shows, you drive 15 hours, you hang out till 3, 4 in the morning, and I always kind of felt like what you said earlier, being the life of the party, man. I'm going to go out here until 3 a.m. We're going to go crazy. We're going to mess with the petitioners, and we're going to do all that. But I
Yep.
realized it's like, you know what? I'd rather hang out, get the food, chill out in the parking lot. I can still do it till whatever time.
Yep.
I get
Yep.
up the next morning, and I don't have. I remember when Rich Irachi stopped drinking, and famous Crazy Rich. Shout out to him. He's been on OLP. Rich said, "Hey, I get up on a Sunday now, and I don't have this hangover until 12,
Mhm.
1 o'clock, where I'm like dead to the
Yeah.
world." So
Or I get up at 5, 6 o'clock every morning. And so without an alarm, I don't have to anymore. Like I just wake up and I feel good. I'm ready to go for the day. I'm recharged. Yeah, I do go to bed a lot earlier now. Um, and occasionally we'll stay up late, what have you. But yeah, absolutely. I don't miss that part of it at all.
yeah,
The next day is amazing.
oh yeah. And I think, my kind of closing thought would be that, again, everybody's going to be a little bit different, right? Some people are going to go, "Hey, I still like drinking. I want to do what I want to do." I think the key thing is, my takeaway for me is, just try to assess what you've got going on. Like I'm trying to do better in my life about, spending, so much money, and
Yeah.
debt diet, if you will. And some people are on a health diet, some people are on an alcohol diet, or whatever you're on. but certainly to be able to kind of uh, get a bird's eye view of yourself from the outside sometimes is the thing. And for me, it's sometimes leaning on a friend to go, hey, I think I kind of have a problem here. What do you think? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me give you some of my feedback. And then it's listening to that feedback. And then it's honestly taking action, figuring out what you may decide you want to do. And, to Jeff's point, I tip my cap to you, a year ago, you made a decision. December, I made a decision. We didn't even know what we had going on in our own lives, but certainly I felt like it was right for me. And that's all I would kind of express to everybody. Try to at least assess what you got going on and do what's right for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the cool part about me when I quit drinking, obviously I had underlying issues, but my girlfriend Ashley, she quit.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
my best friend quit drinking the same day I
Mhm.
did. When that happened, he goes, "You're gonna quit drinking? I'm gonna quit drinking too." And to
Wow.
me, a huge support group like that, and I don't mind if people drink around me. It doesn't bother
Sure.
me.
Same.
I'll still go to birthday parties. I'll go to Vegas, whatever. I just don't choose to sit around in the bottom of a bottle all night. I would rather, like, if we go to Vegas, I'd rather go do as much stuff as we can and go enjoy it and remember
Yeah.
it, versus just sitting in a bar all night or sitting in front of a slot machine just pounding drinks. Uh, it just times have changed. I guess I'm getting older, but for people out there that are listening or watching this, and you want to give it a try, I'm always there for a support group if you ever want to reach out, or if you just want to talk about the differences and changes, or anything that I've gone through. If you've got SVT or somebody has it, it's a pretty common out there. I guess it's about 50% of the population. So, and they do have a simple surgery to fix it. I'm going through the hoops to get that done. And it's a very outpatient laser. I'm sure it's something major still. It's still heart surgery, but
Sure.
they go in there and laser a couple spots out, and it makes electricity flow through your heart correctly. So
Wow.
um, mine basically doesn't, and we just want to get it right. I'm on medication right now, so I've been fine, and it's kind of tried and true because I've been on it for almost a year now. Um, so, but I do want to get off medication and be able to live without it, because I'm not a big pill popper kind of person or
Oh, yeah.
shots or, I just don't, I think the doctors nowadays almost don't want
Over
to cure you.
prescribed stuff.
Yeah,
Seems
they
like.
want to prescribe
Yeah.
stuff. So I just don't like that. But I really want to give a shout out to everybody out there that has quit drinking, and that support me. And I definitely support them back, as well as you. As when you said you quit drinking, I was pretty proud of you as well. Um,
Appreciate that.
it's kind of different when you start seeing your friends fall. You start losing friends, here or there, start going away, and it's like, if I would have spoke up about this, because I really didn't want to say anything about it. I didn't want anybody to know
Sure.
that I had heart trouble. I didn't want anybody to know why I quit drinking. Like, I just told them I quit drinking. But now the cat's out of the bag, and I'm being upfront and real because I feel like more people need to hear it.
Yeah, and when we embraced it, I'm sure you've seen this with yourself with posting some different things. I got a buddy Sean from he's got a page all about Los Angeles, and he does a lot of pop culture stuff. And he's younger than I am. He's going to be out here next month in Florida. And when I would post things on my story, Jeff, he would respond and say, "Man, I really appreciate you posting that because I've recently stopped drinking and like I've been a little timid to say anything, or I was wondering if I was just being
Mhm.
lame or whatever he said. And I think like when we get this message out, there's going to be some people to go, you know what, I've kind of been on the fence, or you know what, I'm going to reassess. And I think we all often say health. People say health is wealth, um, but I've also said family first. But also to me, health is that it's right in line there because as you know, Jeff, you're a business owner. You've got you I'm sure some of the things that keep you up at night as you think about this business that you have successfully ran, but then you have all of these employees, right? And the money has to come in to pay those employees so those
Mhm.
employees can live. So,
Mhm.
you have even more things probably on your mind than the average guy, so to speak, that maybe just like me clocks in a 9 to 5 and goes
Yeah.
home. So I salute you for helping get the message out. And certainly if we can help one person out, that's more than we probably ever
Yeah.
thought 20 years ago that we'd be able to do.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the reason why I came on here, and the reason I reached out to you is because I want to make a difference in other people's lives. I want to make things better. If it's just a phone conversation or this video, or it could be a lifelong friend like we are.
Sure.
Uh, I want to support anybody and everybody that can help. I definitely don't want to see any more of my friends go down, especially
Yeah.
if in the way that we were all headed.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's important to me.
Yeah. In closing, I will say this.
And I
Jeff
want to be
mentioned
around here to
liquid
see my
death.
kids and my grandkids and all that fun stuff. So
Oh yeah, that is, and shout out to your mom and dad. I know they're intricate people in your whole life. I always love seeing your dad. He's always got that smile. You talk about 70 years old. Last September when I was out there, he was in there running circles, in my opinion, on some of the younger guys. Right? I mean, he's a hardworking, true-blooded
yeah,
American dude, and I love seeing that. I think that's the backbone of our country. You and I were all USA, 100%. And I'll say this: if anybody's got a connection to Liquid Death,
yeah,
get them to get set up over at Devious Customs, because I'll tell you something that was important to me. And my final thought is just being able to see the success of people and see these other stories where people have said, "Hey, I stopped drinking. I'm drinking the waters," and things like that. It just is a thing where it shows that we can all change. And some of the people would probably look at me, as much as I drank at shows, or maybe Jeff, and say, "Wow, I mean, if these guys can do it, anybody can." So that's my
right,
last thought,
right,
Jeff.
absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
I'm on the same boat with that one. If somebody can look at me and go, and somebody that actually knows me can say, "Holy shit, Jeff quit drinking." There's hope for anybody because I was a partier, man. I did it up big.
yeah. And I know I lost my train of thought there for a second. Here's the tie-in I was going to try with Liquid Death. Although Liquid Deaths might be more than your normal average water that you get out of the cooler, it's a lot cheaper than going to the bar on a Friday or Saturday night. I'm sure you've had bigger bills than I have, with the friends and some of the guys, the circles. Hey, I'll
Yep.
take the bill, no problem, whatever. But you see some of those bills, and I know, like, even me as just a single dude going out on a Friday night could be 70, 80, $100 or more, obviously, depending on where we go.
Easy.
Liquid Death, in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, is a lot cheaper than that.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I tell everybody too. They're like, "Oh my God, you spent $80 of water." And I'm like, "Yeah." Oh, you wouldn't say that, or
Right.
Tito's or something. You'd be like, "Oh my God, you're having a party tonight." And it's like, "No, I just spent $100 on vodka." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny how people look at stuff, but
Yeah. And I'll bring
I
up the
definitely want to
L
lead more
word.
people down the water path.
Right. And in closing, I'm going to bring up the L word. As a Lincoln fanatic, as AKA the Lincoln addict, we have, this, Lincolns are prone to breakdown. So I need to save all the money from alcohol so I can actually keep the car on the road.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
much
Well,
love.
I
I would
appreciate
tell
you,
everybody,
Jason.
yeah, I appreciate you as a friend. I would say much love to Jeff at Devious Customs, of course, deviouscustoms.com. But oh, yeah, don't forget, they're also on YouTube, and they're going to continue bringing more content to you guys in 2024. You may find this on Jeff's channel, on his social media, as well as OLP. However you find it, hopefully it resonates well with you. If you think that it could help one friend or family member or anyone, just share it. It's free, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. Doesn't
And
hurt
we
you.
give, and remember, we are not lawyers, okay? Take our feedback today with a grain of salt, but nobody's going to argue with being preventive on yourself. It's
Yeah.
ODB and Mr. Devious, right? What do you got to say, Jeff?
Yes, sir. I love it. I love it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, brother. Yep.
Hey, always on the
We'll
rise,
talk
my
soon.
friend. We'll see you soon. And if you like this message,
Absolutely.
please leave a comment, or if you have a successful message to share with us, uh, comment it below wherever you're finding this content. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Stay on the rise.
Absolutely. Thank you.